What if I told you that you, yes, you, have actual constitutional superpowers? Seriously. Today, we're going to unlock a set of incredibly powerful legal tools that every single citizen has to protect their most fundamental rights. They're called writs, and trust me, they're way more important than you might think.
To get what I mean, just imagine this for a second. You own a piece of property. That's a fundamental right. But what if you can't actually enforce that right? You can't build a fence to keep it safe. You can't kick a trespasser off your land. Is it really your property then? You see, a right without a way to protect it, it's just a nice idea on a piece of paper. And that's exactly the problem these constitutional superpowers are designed to fix.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to cover what writs actually are. Then we'll dive into each of the 5 big ones: Habeas Corpus, Mandamus, the legal duo of Prohibition and Certiorari, and we'll wrap up with Quo-Warranto. Let's jump in. So what are these things? What are writs? Well, think back to that property we were talking about. Writs are like the fence you build around it. They're the actual practical legal tools that give your fundamental rights real teeth, making sure they can actually be defended when it counts. Here's another way to look at it. Our fundamental rights, they're precious, like rare jewels. But what good are jewels if you don't have a safe to keep them in? These constitutional remedies, these writs, they are that safe. Without them, our rights would just be out in the open, totally vulnerable. Okay, so technically speaking, a writ is just a formal written order from a court. But in this context, it's so much more than that. It is a direct, powerful command from the highest courts in the land, stepping in to protect a citizen whose fundamental rights are being trampled on. It's the justice system swinging into action for you. And hey, don't just take my word for how huge this is. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the main architect of the Indian Constitution, called Article 32, the very part of the Constitution that gives us these writs, the heart and soul of the Constitution. Now, why would he say that? Because this article is what makes all the other rights real. It's so important that the right to get a remedy is itself a fundamental right. So where do you go to use these powers? Well, you've got 2 main options: the Supreme Court under Article 32 or the High Courts under Article 226. Now, here's the key difference you've got to know. The Supreme Court can only step in when it's about your fundamental rights. But the High Courts, their power is actually much, much wider. They can issue writs for fundamental rights, sure, but also for any other purpose, which gives them this massive scope to deliver justice. All right, first up is the big one, probably the most famous writ of all, Habeas Corpus. In Latin, it literally means to have the body, and it is the single most powerful defense we have for personal liberty against being locked up unlawfully. Just look at the unbelievable case of Rudul Shah. This man finished his prison sentence, but was then kept in jail illegally for another 14 years. Can you imagine? It was the writ of Habeas Corpus that came to the rescue. It didn't just get him released immediately, the court also ordered compensation for this horrible injustice. This writ is a direct challenge to the state. You either produce the person and prove you have the right to hold them, or you let them go. It's that simple. Okay, next up we've got Mandamus, which translates to we command. This one isn't about getting someone out of jail, it's about fighting against inaction. It's the tool you use to force a public official or some government body to actually do the job they're legally supposed to do. For example, let's say a public university is illegally refusing to give you your degree. Or maybe a government finance agency is holding back funds it's legally required to give you. That's when you use Mandamus. In one famous case, a court issued this very writ to order a corporation to release the money it was supposed to. It's an incredibly powerful way to hold public authorities accountable when they just refuse to act. Now we get to a pair of writs that kind of work together. They're all about keeping the justice system itself in check. They are Prohibition and Certiorari. And honestly, the absolute easiest way to think about them is with a simple idea: prevention versus cure. We've all heard this saying a million times, right? Well, this little piece of wisdom is the perfect way to understand our next 2 writs. One of them acts like the prevention, stopping a legal mistake before it even happens. And the other one? That's the cure, fixing a mistake that's already been made. See, it really just comes down to timing. Prohibition, that's your prevention. It's issued to a lower court to stop it from hearing a case that it doesn't have the legal authority or jurisdiction to hear in the first place. But what if it's too late? What if the lower court already made its illegal decision? Well, that's when you need the cure, certiorari. This writ comes in after the fact and completely quashes or cancels that illegal judgment. And here's a little trick to make sure you never mix them up. Just think, P is for prevention, which is prohibition, and C is for cure, which is certiorari. It's a super simple mnemonic that makes the difference crystal clear. Our final constitutional superpower is Quo-Warranto. This Latin phrase asks a really blunt question: by what authority? It's a writ designed to challenge whether a person has the legal right to hold a public office they're in. The best analogy for this is to think about a college. Imagine a student gets in, but later the college finds out they didn't actually meet the basic requirements to be admitted. The college would have to remove them, right? Well, Quo-Warranto is the exact same idea, but for public office. It basically puts an office holder on the spot and asks, prove you have the legal right to be in this position. And if they can't, they have to go. So let's do a quick rapid-fire recap. Number 1, habeas corpus. It frees someone who's being held illegally. 2, Mandamus. It commands a public official to do their job. 3, prohibition. It prevents an illegal judgment. 4, certiorari. It cures an illegal judgment that's already been made. And 5, Quo-Warranto. It asks a public official, by what authority are you here? And there you have it, your 5 constitutional superpowers. And that really brings us to the final and maybe most important point. These writs, they aren't just some dusty, abstract legal ideas. They are real, practical, powerful tools. They're the fence around your rights. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you know these powers exist specifically to protect you, how does that change your view of what it really means to be a citizen with rights?